I volunteered to pull down the statue. I did it. I did it with wholeheartedly. I don't take any regrets. I did it because for the people in British Columbians that are suffering right now. I did it for the people in Palestine that are suffering occupation. I did it for the people of Malton, Peel region, for all those victims of police brutality and crime, for all the people that are suffering homelessness and they're living in encampments, and the Toronto police and the mayor of Toronto are evicting them by force. Shame on you. What we should be doing is build social housing. Across Canada, we started with finding 215 graves in Kelowna, in British Columbia. From that time until now, 6,000 children graves have been found all across Canada. We had never received an apology from the Pope or the Catholic Church. During this time, cities like Charlottetown in Prince Edward Island, Kingston in Ontario are compelled to remove statues of genocide, namely Sir John Macdonald, Queen Victoria. Here in Toronto, we participated in the removal of Egerton Ryerson at Ryerson University because it was the call out from the people to see some action happening. But the governments of this province in Ontario and in Toronto, they will prefer to keep them as a sign of torture for the daily life of indigenous men and women who have been murdered in this country. So we say, no, we don't want to see those statues of hate. So people in Hamilton, activists, city councilors, posed a motion to City Council last Friday, August the 6th, and the City Council voted down no to the motion to remove statues of hate, such as John Macdonald and etc. And 1,036 letters in support of the removal of the statue of Sir John Macdonald at Regent Park was voted down by 13-2. The mayor of the city of Hamilton, Fred Alvarado, was absent for this vote, which is very questionable. So in view of that decision not to proceed to remove the statues of genocide, namely Sir John Macdonald, indigenous leaders put out a call of action. So a call was put out for a unity rally at Hamilton City Hall this past Saturday at around noontime. And I accepted the invitation to go because, as I said before, I think the government of Canada needs to rethink long and hard what do you mean by truth and reconciliation, really? Keeping its images or statues of hate is not a way to address properly truth and reconciliation. In view also in the light that 6,000 kids have been found across Canada and no one is taking any responsibility. And now, during the election time, no one is putting this matter in the top priority. We want to stop this construction of a pipeline that is being built in British Columbia on the territory of West Sutibing. Women, elderly, children are being harassed by the RCMP right now. So Justin Trudeau, stop it. Stop it. Continue the genocide of indigenous people.
Could you tell us more about the historical context and the reasons for calling to remove the statue?
Yeah, I mean, Sir Johnny is certainly the first Prime Minister of Canada, and the very foundation of Canada is built on the genocide or the attempted genocide of Indigenous peoples and the displacement of us from our traditional territories, and even where I come from in Saskatchewan, like he was part of those starvation policies that were put into place to force Indigenous peoples off the lands where he wanted the railroad to go, and also had his hands in the design of the residential schools. So as many, Canadians look to him as this great nation builder, he caused a lot of destruction for First Nations and Indigenous peoples that has the everlasting trauma that we are still working through, we're still healing from, we're still we're still overcoming. And so when we see him as a statue, like commemorated as this great nation builder or hero in these public spaces, when we're saying no, he's caused, like, it's only telling part of the story, it's not telling all of our stories. And folks say things like, oh, you can't erase history. If you take down the statue, you're erasing history. I'm like, I think keeping it up erases history because it doesn't talk about these other things. And I don't think even just putting a plaque on, oh yeah, he did all these other things next to it. Like, that's not okay. Like, we should be commemorating people that represent all of us, not just one part of the folks that make up this city or this country.
So as an organizer of the Unity Rally on August 14, how do you feel after the statue of Sir John A. Macdonald was toppled in Hamilton Park after the hundreds ended the rally?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it was really surprising that that's how the rally sort of ended. Being that it certainly wasn't part of our agenda, but it was really, it was much relief when I missed the actual toppling of the statue because I had to stay behind the City Hall to help clean up some of the sound equipment. And as I was walking through Gore Park trying to catch up with the crowd, as I could hear and I could feel the energy. It was this amazing energy. Like, I didn't even know exactly what was happening yet, but I could feel it coming at me as I was walking towards the crowd. And to see the excitement and feel the emotion that was happening at that moment, like, it was a moment of, like, I felt like it was a moment of healing for the folks in Hamilton that have been voicing so strongly that this needed to be removed, and the city didn't listen. So some folks took the matters into their own hands to be like, we care about the Indigenous people in the city and how they're feeling, and took the matter into their own hands. And it created such a almost victorious moment. That's the way it felt as I walked up and could feel the energy from the crowd.
And as a result of the event and the toppling of the statue, as you know, Miguel Avila Velarde was identified by the Hamilton police. And Miguel is a Toronto indigenous activist, and he's a resident of Regent Park. And he was arrested and released by Hamilton police and was charged with mischief over 5,000. And what's your opinion about this incident and on Miguel's actions as well?
Yeah, I think that the city council here in Hamilton really, I think by not removing the statue, they created the situation where Indigenous people and our allies would have to do the work ourselves, and then in turn get villainized and criminalized against it. So Miguel is showing true, like, the city council should do that to begin with, and they didn't. And so now we as Indigenous peoples, Miguel and our allies that stood with us that did this are being villainized. But I don't think we're the bad guys. And so I really hope that the charges will get dropped. And Miguel's got a ton of support here in Hamilton that have, that are willing to stand with him. And I think they're already, we put out some calls through our friends, Defund Hamilton Police Services. They're a group of young activists in the city that have said, call the mayor, call the police, demand that these charges be dropped. And we will continue putting pressure on that for him or any other. I know that they've had, there was 4 suspects that includes Miguel. So if they continue to seek arrests, that they can just either drop the investigation altogether and move on with their lives, or at the very least drop the charges.
Do you think that the cause for social justice and equal rights for the Native people can be brought through proper channels to the government, or justify violent actions or removing statues?
Mhm. I think there's, justice for Indigenous peoples. I think it comes in at all those levels, and you know, we all have a bit of a role to play, and how that works, how that plays out. And some of us do, what may be considered more of a smaller gesture, organizing a little rally, to more. I don't even want to say violent, because I don't think taking down a statue is violent, but radical, whatever you want to put on that. I think those, because when we take these smaller actions, they're not always listening. We did go down the proper channels. We advocated, we wrote letters, we did all those different things, and we were still told no. They're clearly not listening, and we needed that done. And so somebody else had took it into their own hands. And I think that's with a lot of the various issues or things that are impacting our communities, is that often these government processes don't move the way they should, and they're not being led by Indigenous community, or there's tokenized positions that are supposed to represent all Indigenous people, and it's one person not necessarily representing us, or they're going through more consultations. Although we've presented the facts already, we got to consult again. Like all these different things that take so long, and when we're like, we need swift, decisive action right now, they're not prepared to do that. So I think every action, whether it's signing a petition, to doing a little bit more of a stronger stance, like toppling of a statue, all of those play a part in creating justice for us all.
Thank you, Ari, for this interview. So we have this case of Miguel as a resident of Regent Park. He was arrested 2 days ago and taken by the police to the Hamilton Police Division. And we just want to know, as a criminal lawyer, what's your opinion about his case and the charges that he's now facing, after he affirms that this is a target in political persecution?
I'm not his lawyer, and if I was his lawyer, I might be expressing publicly a different view. I'm only answering it as a lawyer and as a legal expert. I think the idea that this is political prosecution is insane, or probably can be compared to the idea that it's about as sound an argument as you and I are going to fly to the moon later tonight. It is horse manure. I know this is his modus operandi. There is nothing politically persecuting or prosecuting about this. This is the letter of the law properly applied. We live in a day and age where identity politics and woke politics and what your background and skin color and race and religion is as some kind of excuse for criminal activity. The criminal code is the rule of law in this country. It doesn't apply any more to you than it does to me. It doesn't and shouldn't discriminate based on skin color or your political views, which many people on his side say, well, because I get to claim this or I get to claim that, I get to destroy property and I shouldn't expect a knock on the door from the police. That not only is offensive to me, it should be offensive to every other low income or Indigenous or Aboriginal or Black or racialized person, because they're often, if you look at crime statistics, more likely to be the victims of crimes. So if you're now going to have me, not you, but if the proverbial you is going to have me now say, Well, we can pick and choose who gets to do crime and who gets to destroy property and who gets to commit violence because they get to put their hand up and say, hold on, I claim I'm a minority. There is no country that can support that. It's why Canada is declining in so many ways. And good for the Hamilton police for charging him. He's probably lucky he wasn't held for bail. He was just given a ticket and to come back to court. He is well known as a rabble rouser that does not care what anybody tells him to do. He does what he wants to do. But if you do what you want to do in this society, there are going to be consequences. You, Fred, don't do certain things. And I don't know you. You and I have never met. You don't do things because there are consequences to doing them. I don't do certain things because there are consequences to doing them. I have no sympathy for somebody who destroys a statue because now we're in woke social justice times that he didn't destroy a year ago. He didn't destroy 2 years ago. He didn't destroy 3 years ago. It's been standing for decades. But all of a sudden now people feel they have license because Twitter and social media say so. So leaving aside that I'm a criminal defense lawyer and I would defend him if he hired me and I would approach it differently, you know, I'm here to be clear and straightforward to people. If it is the case that he's on video destroying a statue because he wants to, that's a crime. No different than somebody coming to his home who doesn't like him and breaking in his front door.
Around August the 12th, I received an invitation to attend this unity rally at Hamilton City Hall, and they asked me for my support. And of course, I will not say no to the call out for support for indigenous peoples, because I've been involved in many actions in the past as a member of I Don't Know More. I was involved in many actions to support indigenous rights, especially when it comes to the missing and murdered indigenous women in this country. And through these actions, we were able to convince the government of Canada to establish a commission to investigate the murders of women in this country. So we had the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, recommendations, but you know what? Everything is moving so slowly. Just, I don't want to get into the details because I have a very short time. I was invited and I say, yes, I'm coming down because I always support any good action in this country. So Sunday evening, there was a post that a friend sent me to me saying, look, your name is on the Hamilton Police Services Bulletin. Not your name, sorry, your picture. And I look at it, yes, that's me. So I was told that Hamilton Police wanted to talk to me, and I called a lawyer in Hamilton who said to me, Miguel, you know what, in this situation, if they hide your picture, maybe they have a good reason to talk to you. So let's play nice. Let's go to Hamilton. Let's talk to them, you know, and show that you're not running away. You know, this is a very politicized event, by the way, very high critical in this point of the election time, because they're taking this as a target situation. They're targeting me for being indigenous, for being active in this community, for being proactive, for being outspoken about indigenous rights, about poverty, about issues of homelessness, about issues of harm reduction, income insecurity, etc., etc. Whatever it affects these poor communities, I always have spoken about it. And that's why I think that is a politicized event. I'm going to go today. Today I'm going to go to 51 Division at 5 p.m. So you're invited to be there if you want. Show solidarity and support. I think having a charge of allegation of mischief and vandalism is something I had to take care of in the court. So we'll see what happens. I got a good lawyer, so I'm crossing my fingers for the best. thank you for the opportunity to be back again and share my experiences. And thanks for the question, my friend. Well, it's a interesting question. I'm going to try to elaborate as much as clear as possible. You need to understand there are some parts I need to keep it confidential for now because it's a core matter. But I want to say something that Hamilton police came to arrest me around 3 p.m. No, sorry, lunchtime. And we agree with 51 Division to surrender myself in their location at 51 Parliament Street at 5 p.m. That was the original agreement. So these three officers, they said they were waiting for me on the hallway on my floor at 220 Oak, and they invite me to come downstairs and to go to Hamilton. No, and I say, well, I would like to comply, but I have an agreement with 51 Division. No, sir, this is a total Hamilton police investigation. So I decided to comply because I think it's the best route to do it under the circumstances. And yesterday, when I came to talk to you guys, Regent Park TV, hey, hello, Regent Park TV. You guys are amazing, by the way. I said to them that they were targeted. I was a victim of political target. And yes, it was really an action to silence me from speaking out outside 51 Division when we originally requested to surrender at 5 p.m. Anyway, it is an interesting experience, and I'm gonna continue doing what I like to do here in the community. I love Regent Park.
Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and check out all of our social media platforms. For more information, check out our website.